Hello, welcome. If you're passionate about web development, then today's tutorial is just meant for you. Let's do this. And in this tutorial, we'll use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the Bootstrap toolkit to better your skill in this step-to-step tutorial. Before we can proceed any further, let us examine the final product. So at the navigation, we'll have the hover effect with the underline animation. This is the header section. And then we'll have a product, a picture for a product that will disappear as we minimize the page. This is the features section. We'll display some of the products, just the featured ones. And then you'll notice that the background is fixed as we scroll. Here below we'll include a carousel, like an image slider. And then, there we have the footer with the social media links. You can join for subscription by entering your email. We'll include a placeholder there at the end. So that's it. By the end of this video, you'll not only have a beautiful web page, but also a better understanding of how to build an elegant, responsive layout. The setup for this project can be accessed through the link in the description. Go to GitHub and download the setup folder to your preferred location in your system. Make sure to remember it. Mine is on the desktop. Unzip the file or extract it. And then open it. The folders in it. So these are the files and the folders in the setup folder. The images, JavaScript, and CSS file. Since it is the right folder, let's open it with Visual Studio Code. I would advise that you use this code editor. So let's close and open the HTML file. So everything is in order. Well, let's go live. The live server that we are using, you can access it. You can find it in the extension. So just type live server. And I believe this is the option. For me, I've already installed it, so you can install it. And then with that, you can access it at the bottom right corner of the editor. The next thing is trying to see if the live server is functional. And we'll add a header element. And the moment we save it, the website will reload and voila. We'll start off by adding a background to the body of the web page. Let's go to styles. And then one important thing, always remember to add comments that describe sections of your code for the purpose of tracing where the various scripts lie. So for the body, we'll add a background image using the background image property, CSS property. And then we'll provide the URL to that specific image or file, which was in the setup folder. The image is not centered, so we'll center it. And then determine its size so that it can fit within the window of the browser. But here you can see that there's a repeat of the image, so we'll have to remove that using the background repeat. So it will be no repeat. And then we'll correct for the height. So the minimum height by giving it 100 view height. Let's change the brightness. Make it a little bit darker. To prevent the background from moving as we scroll, we'll make the background attachment to be fixed. We are now ready to start designing the navigation. It will be in the header element. As usual, we add comments as guide. The front-end toolkit that we're going to use is Bootstrap, and you can get it through the website. I've placed the link in the description. So they have a starter template for the HTML with the CSS and HTML already in place. And on this scroll bar, you can see some of the components, website components, how to organize your layout, the contents, images, tables, forms. They are all here. The components, you can have buttons, button group, cards, navigation bars, so the possibilities are endless. If you can just take your time and learn Bootstrap, you'll have an easier time, but it requires a foundational understanding of CSS. With that said, let us find a navigation bar template, a navbar template that will be suitable for our project. So navbar, not that one. So we'll use this one. Just copy it and paste it into your HTML file. When you save it, this is what you get. So the navbar can collapse and it has a toggle button. The script might seem scary, but don't worry. So let's start by removing the unordered list for the links. And we can create ours. So we'll start by adding an unordered list with the bootstrap class of navbar nav. This is not a custom class. And then let's add a child list, element 2 of them with the class nav item, an anchor with an icon for the shopping cart. Yes. And then the text. There you have it. Let's do some minor adjustments by bringing the nav item up top. There you have it. And then let me add the comments. I forgot something. The shop text should be in an anchor, should be within an anchor element. So let's do that. The other links will also be within an unordered list with the class, bootstrap class, navbar, nav, with 3 list items with the bootstrap class of nav item. There is a mistake, so let's correct this before we proceed. Sorry for that. Within the list, the first list will add the about link. Make sure to give it a class of nav link. It's a bootstrap class. Copy it, paste it, and then let's change the text within. Here we'll have our colors, different color palettes for the cosmetic brand, and then the contact section. So let's check it out. Here we have it. Currently the navigation links are not ordered, whereby shop is in the middle and then the remaining links are on the farthest right, and we've not even added a. But before we can do that, let's just remove the background for the navigation bar, and then we'll have to make sure that the texts are visible and even the button. So let's find the class for the navigation links and move to your CSS. Now let's comment first. Navigation and navigation. Then we'll access those elements using the classes navbar and nav link, and make sure that the texts are right. Let's confirm that. There you have it. Then we'll add an image for the brand. We already have it in our images folder. You can just access it. There you have it, but it's not the size that we want, so we'll change the width. Yeah, that's right. Then we'll create spacing on the left using the MS tool, which is our bootstrap class, to create space. Let's check it out. You'll see the spacing, and then we'll evenly space out the navigation links by adding a margin auto. And there you have it. The next step will be styling that. Let me add some spacing, the margins. But as you can see, there's no effect. So what could be the problem? Let's check it out. Okay, it lacks the navlink class, so we'll add that. And then there you have it. You can see the changes, the color and the spacing. But I need more spacing between them. So yeah, margin and 4. The shopping cart is smaller, so I'll make it change the font size. But you can notice that the links are not leveled, We'll correct that. Later. For now, let us center the other links, especially when the navigation bar is collapsed. We'll add a display flex. And then margin bottom will make it to be 2, and when the page is expanded, the margin at the bottom will be 0. And this is the result when it's expanded. I feel it would be best if we add some more spacing at the end of each link. Margin end. Okay, let's correct that. There you have it. Although this leveling might look cool, we'll correct it later. Let's just make some adjustments to the navigation bar, and then before we can proceed. So we'll create some spacing around it. (10 pixel margin). Okay, the level of the links, it was not on a single line, so we'll correct it by using a custom class for the shop, now for the cart link. So we'll remove that, and then as you can see, it's corrected. Let's go to our CSS file, and we'll call the CSS class shopping cart, and then we'll change the color and remove the text decoration. None. Let's go and let's add it first, shopping cart, and then confirm the results. There it is. Yeah, it's leveled. We need to make the toggle button to be visible. Let's go to the styles, and we can access the button using the navbar toggler CSS class that it already has from Bootstrap. Give it a lighter background color, a variation of white. And then on focus, we'll remove the outline and also the box shadow. When clicked, we'll change the background color to white. Show us then the next step, that is creating the hover effect for the navigation links. This will be the result. So in your CSS file, let me add this comment first. For the link, we'll give the link an inline block display and make its position to be relative. We'll use the after pseudo element to insert some content, that is for the underline. The string for the content will be empty. The position will be absolute. The final width will be 98 to create some spacing between the link. That spacing is what I'm talking about. Doesn't have to be one single line. Okay. Initially, we'll scale it to 0 in the x-axis, but the height will be 3 pixels. The initial position at the bottom will also be 0, and at left will be 0. Let's change the background color. Let's make the background color to be white, sorry. We'll use transform origin to change the position of an element, that is from towards to bottom right. For the transition, we'll target transform and give it 0.5 seconds, in which it will ease out. Let us copy that first. So on hover of the pseudo element, on hover we'll scale it to 1 and transform origin to bottom left. And there you have it. Let's check it out. You maximize it, this is what you'll get. The next step will be to add the hero section with an image and a call to action, some text, and a shop button. We'll give the section a class of hero, which is a custom class, not bootstrap. We'll contain every other thing with the container fluid bootstrap class. At this level, we'll exploit bootstrap grid system and give it a div, a row div, and then we'll add 2 columns. One that will collapse at midpoint, not one but both of them, with size 4. And the other one, size 8. It's not the size 8 that you're thinking of. So here we'll introduce the hero image. We'll add the source. We'll then have to correct the size of the image. We'll use the bootstrap class image fluid. Let's add that. So this is the result. If you expand it, this is what you get. This is nice. So let's go to the CSS file and change the size of the image. We'll add comments first. And then determine the maximum the maximum height. Next, we'll add the part for the call to action. With the bootstrap card class, first we'll add a quote. It's preferable for us to use the figure HTML element, and then with the text and bootstrap class. Within a block quote element, we'll add a quote. So just take your time. You can find a quote that you like. This is the one that I'll be using. It will take some time to type. Just a second, and we'll be done. So there you have it. We'll have to do something about the background later. For the caption, you can specify the source, and it will take the bootstrap class of block quote footer. So just add the source of your quote. I'll expand this to have a better view. I've just noticed that we'll have to center everything. So we'll use the display flex and then align items to center. These are bootstrap classes. Let's check it out. There's the result. This is what we have. Let's remove the background. So we'll make it to be transparent. It's gone. We'll make the text visible using the text white bootstrap class. And then we'll transform it to uppercase. The quote will give it the font, a Google font that has already been imported in our CSS file. Then let us just add some spacing at the top. Margin top at midpoint will be 5. And at small will be 5, and then padding at the end will be 3. If you expand it, this is what you get. So far, so good. We'll make the image disappear at particular specific screen size. In Bootstrap, you achieve that using dblock. We'll use the DMD block and the DSM none. It is not disappearing. I think there's a mistake somewhere. Let's look at okay, let's remove that. There you have it. So when it's large, you can see it at midpoint, it's gone. Let's head back to the text and make the source of the quote to be light. So font weight light, a bootstrap class. I think we forgot something. Let's add the cite HTML element. Well, at least it looks like a citation. The primary text for the call to action will be in a paragraph element. With the bootstrap class text white, we'll push the text to the end and create some margin at the top. You can be creative. Find a sentence that will be most suitable for your work or for your design. But for my case, this is what I had. It'll just take a minute. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you have it. And then let's add a button. In a div, using an anchor element for shopping, we'll center the button within the div, display flex, and then we'll justify the content. We'll position the button at the end. Position will be flex, and then we'll justify the content and then create some margin at the top. Let's add some spacing at the top, and then with the custom class shop button, we'll style the button. But first, let us style the citation. Class will change the color. So for the shop button, we'll remove the text decoration. Make the text color to be black. And give it a white background for visibility. Also, it blends well with black. Let's create some spacing within using padding. And change the font size. The font weight will be thicker. And then we'll curve the edges of the border. Well, it's always my thing to create a hover effect, so we'll add that one. Just a slight color change of the background. And there you have it. Expand it, can minimize it, can see the effect. Next, we'll design the features section. Let's minimize the hero section. Comment this section, features, and specify the end of it. We'll give the features class its custom to the section. Let's look at the result before you can proceed. So here it is. This is what you're going to design with that image popping at the end. Okay, let's give it a white background. That is a CSS class. And then the all text will be centered. Create a space at the top, margin top 5. And then the padding at the y-axis will be 5, spacing within the element. Next, we'll introduce the image. Let's specify the source of the image. Featured, background removed. There it is. We'll have to sort out the sizing issue. It's usually advisable to add text within the alt for description purposes in case it doesn't load. Class, we'll give it a custom class with the feature. Let's edit this first. Okay, features img. It's time to style it. We'll give it a width of 150 pixel. There you have it. And we need to change its position and rotate it for that effect. In order to create that effect, we need to give the containing element a position of relative. And then the image will have an absolute position. Starting to take shape. Top will give it -30, and then left -5. There you have it. We'll rotate the image 40 degrees clockwise. And then let's go back to the HTML where we can add the header. I'll just copy paste it and then change it a little bit. There you have it. And then we'll have to style the heading. By making it uppercase. Changing the font size and the font weight. The second heading will give it a font size of 3 rem. Make it a little bit lighter. The next step will be to add the different features using the Bootstrap grid system. We'll add a row div, create a space at the top, margin top, and then we'll add 4 columns. In the first column, we'll add an icon for a leaf. But before we can proceed any further, it is better for us to understand where we can access the icons. So we'll go to the Bootstrap web page, icons, and here they are. So if you want to install, you can click the install button. It will take you at the bottom. You can see the different options. For this case, we've used the CDN where you can copy the link. After copying it, you can paste it in the head section of your HTML file, and then automatically it will load the icons. The other option is to import it in your CSS file by adding it at the top there. So let's just head back to where we left everything. We will add the text for the various features for the first feature. In this case, 100 vegan. You can be creative. You can see options that you can add. Copy everything, paste it. Then we'll copy paste. And we'll edit the icons for the different icons. Here we'll use recycle and add the relevant text. . then Globe Americas. Let me just show you one thing before we can proceed any further. So in order to access an icon, you can search it by its name. Let's use this example. And then you can either copy the SVG file, or you can copy that tag with the classes and then just go back to your HTML file and you can paste. The next will be bug, heart, fill, and then we'll add the relevant text. Yeah. Design wise, we need to make some changes. So in our CSS file, we'll customize the icons. We'll make them larger, and you can see that. For the text, we'll also make them slightly larger. And then convert them to uppercase, uppercase, not capitalize. Let's correct that. Create some spacing at the top. And center the text. Then giving it a lighter font weight. Now when we minimize these, you'll notice we have an issue. Okay, we made a mistake, so let's change that to percentage. And then, yeah, there we have it. I believe this is the part that you've been waiting for. So let's just jump straight into it. As usual, some comments. Yeah. The section will have a featured products custom class, and then we'll give it a white background. Create some spacing at the top. As you scroll, you can see the effect already in place. On the bottom also, we'll create some spacing within, and then we'll use the bootstrap class container fluid. It will be appropriate for us to add a heading. And then a divider below the heading. That's a custom class, so let's proceed to the CSS file and then do some styling. So for the heading, we'll make it uppercase. Make it lighter, font weight of 300. And then for the divider, it's a div. We'll give it a border making it solid, having the black color. Next, let us design the products grid. We'll start by using the bootstrap row class, and then we'll have to define the organization of the columns. So default, we'll have one column. At midpoint, we'll have 2 columns, and at large, we'll have 4 columns. The gap between the columns, we'll give it to all these our bootstrap classes. Margin top, we'll give it 4 spacing at the top. And then let's add 4 columns. We'll design the card in the first column. We'll give it an image from our assets. Take the featured product 1. When you save it, you'll see it, but yeah, we'll do something about the size. It's advisable to add some string in the alt property. We'll give it a class of card image top. It's a bootstrap class, but we have a problem. Let's correct that. Call calls. Yeah, there you have it. Next, we'll add the name of the product and the price. So in the card body bootstrap class, we'll add a h-var and heading with the bootstrap class of card title. And yeah, you can name it with any name that you prefer. And then we'll add the price card text. Also the price, you can choose the one that is most suitable for you, even the currency. Let's make the background to be transparent and then remove the border. Okay, it's supposed to be border 0, not none. And then the text will be centered. We can proceed to the CSS file where we'll edit the image. So let's copy the featured products class and then the card image top. We'll give it a border radius of 30 pixels. And then for the title, that is the name of the product. We'll change the font weight 400, and then the price we'll make it slightly lighter the font weight. Save it. So let's copy the card and paste it. This is for product. This is the first product. So let's create a copy of the other products. 2, 3. We have the 4th one. So let's edit. Should be 2, 3, 4, then 4. Okay. Let's also change the directory. This will be product 2, and then the name. You can play around with this, the one that you prefer. The name, the price. Here we'll have the 3rd product, that is the directory. change the name. Body spray should be cheaper. The final one. Yeah. Premium price. There you have it. That's nice. Okay, let's maximize. Okay, we have a problem with the grid system. So let's look. Let's. Okay. It's with the div. They're supposed to be within the. Each of them should be within a column div. So we'll correct that. For every product, we'll place it within a div column, or a column div. Sorry, a column div. Let's just do that. Dot column. Let's place this third product within and then the last one. That was a huge mistake. And then we'll have to confirm. Okay, let's change that also. And yeah, there you have it. Super clean. When you expand it at midpoint, you'll see 2 columns. When it's small, 1 column, and when it was large, there were 4. Scroll and check it out. Yeah, it's kind of nice. So let's minimize this, and then we'll remove these other. We'll remove these other. We'll remove these other columns. Yeah, I think everything is okay. Let me just confirm first. You need to remove this. Okay, I think we're all set now. Yeah, so there you have your grid. At the bottom, we'll then add a link for viewing all the products. It will be a div with an anchor tag. This one is a custom CSS class, so it should not be confusing. And then href, we don't have a link currently. View all btn. The text. Okay, there it is. Yeah, we'll use bootstrap classes to center it. Display will be flex. Then we'll justify the content to be centered. Spacing in the y-axis, we'll make it 4. There it is. Let's style it in our CSS file. Dot view all. The text will be black. We'll remove the text decoration. Then we'll add a border. It shall be black. Black is good. Spacing within. I will then add some spacing at the bottom, and then the border radius. It's nice. Well, The font weight should be lighter. Let's make it 400. And then we'll add a hover effect. So the border will change its color to gray. So I'll add a margin bottom for the featured products. Its effect will be visible later, but currently let me just add it. If you want your web page to show the user if they have an option for creating their own formulation, then you have the option of adding this section. It will be for creating or formulating. We'll give it a custom class of create. We'll also take advantage of the grid layout for Bootstrap with a row and 2 columns that break at midpoint of size 6. The first column will contain the image. Let's specify the source, the directory. Create image. Then we'll give it a custom class of create image. Okay, now let's check out the image. It is outside the window frame of the web page. We'll have to change its size and do some other adjustments. So let's mark the beginning and the end of that section. Since we'll be playing around with its position, then we'll have to give a custom class to the containing div, and then that containing div will give it a position, a relative position relative. Position relative. And then for the image, it will have an absolute position absolute. Now let's confirm what we have to do. So this is the image. We'll have to change its position and push it to the left. So the width, we'll give it 450 pixels. Change the position. And then the bottom position. The left position. And then to fine tune the positioning, we'll transform and translate it. Yeah. -10. There you have it. You can opt to give it a curved border, or you can leave it that way. Let's add a comment, the image, and then we'll proceed to the next column where we'll add the text. We'll center the text, give it color white because of the background color. And then create some spacing within the header. I'll just copy and paste to save time, but you can, be creative and just create your, so there you have it. Simple, clean. We'll give the header, we'll change the font by adding the Google font since it's regular. And then let's just finish with this HTML file, and then we can proceed to styling it. We'll add the button, the custom class create btn. Let's go to styling. We'll make the font size of the header to be larger. Then we'll create some spacing at the bottom. We'll make the font weight to be lighter, 400. That's nice. And then let's target the button. Not really the button, sorry, the paragraph. The font weight, we'll make it lighter. And then now we can go to the button. We'll change the color. And then the background. You can play with the color combination that you prefer. And then we'll remove the text decoration since it's an anchor. Let's create some space within so that the text can even be readable. And then we'll play around with the border radius. 30 won't be bad. So there you have it. It's simple, clean. You can still see the fixed background. So this is also another interesting part where we'll have to create a carousel, an image slider with some beautiful images. So I hope you like it. We'll start by adding the section tag with the custom class. And then add bootstrap classes for the container. You create spacing at the top, margin top, and then also padding at the top. We'll also use the grid system. We'll add a row with columns that break at midpoint. So there'll be two, one for the text and the other one for the image. So here we'll create a div for the heading. Why choose us? And let's make the text to be white so that it can be visible. And then for the header, we'll add the Google font, the Google font style. An ordered list will include the reasons. We'll have 4 list items. Here also you can be creative. You can include your reasons, or you can just copy mine. That's fine by me, so long as you understand the design concepts. And yeah, this will take some time, so just be patient. And there you have it. Next, we'll style it in the CSS file. Let's add those comments. So for the header, we'll create spacing at the bottom. Change the font size. Make the font weight to be lighter. And then for the list items, we'll have spacing at the bottom. And we'll change the font weight slightly. And there you have it. I'll then take us to the next step of creating the carousel, the slider for the images. Let me just mark it. Here we'll use the bootstrap component, so the carousel. Then we'll find the one that slides automatically, the one that it doesn't have indicators. Let's just scroll. Not that one. Yeah, this one, the auto playing carousel without indicators. You'll just copy it and then let me organize this page first and then paste it. We'll add the images which are already present in our setup folder. So that is the first image. Then we'll add the alternative. It's just a text. It's a carousel image. We'll add the second image. And then the third image. And then we'll copy the text for the string for the alt. So yeah, there it is. You can see the images. In design, you have to particularly look for the image that will suit the design that you're going for. So in this case, I went for these ones. You can find them in Unsplash, the Unsplash website. let us change the width, and for that case we'll use let us edit the images. We'll use a custom class. It is a custom CSS class. Then let's go to our CSS file. We'll limit the height, and then let's go back to our file and our web page and see it. Okay, there it is. Minimize it. Let's go back. Okay, what can I need to change the position of the image? So we'll using flex, we'll center the carousel. There you have it. If you well, I think by pushing it at the end, it will be way better. And then we'll curve the borders, the edges of the corners of the border. Finally, the footer section. Well, let's use the footer tags. And we'll use the bootstrap grid system with 3 rows that will break when the screen size is small. First, we'll start by adding the logo and the social media links. So the logo will be an image. The image already, it's in the file. There you have it. I don't think if that is the right logo we were going for, so let's change it and give it a custom class. And add the alt string. In our CSS file, we'll change the size of the image. That is the important part. So the footer and footer. But before that, we'll have to change the background of the footer for visibility. And then we'll create some spacing at the top. And also at the bottom. For the image, for the logo, we'll give it a maximum height of 75 pixels. And then using the bootstrap deflex or the will center the logo and create some spacing at the start. There you have it. So let's add some comments. Let's change the position of that comment. For the social media links, we'll take advantage of the Bootstrap's BTN group class, and then we'll add the anchors with a custom class of social links. We'll also use Bootstrap icons, so let's go and search for one. Just type the name and we'll start with Instagram. Okay, you can pick whichever you want. Copy it and then just a second. Okay, there. Then let's paste it and change the font size, make it slightly larger, and copy it. For the other social media links, change this one to Facebook, and the last one will be Twitter or X. And then we'll also have to center the button group. Okay, and then create some spacing at the top. In our CSS file, we'll style the social link. We'll change the color, create some spacing on the left, and we are done with that. For the copyright text, here we are going to center the text, and then we'll add an icon, the copyright icon, the C within a circle, the C circle. There you have it, copy it, and then then just paste it, followed by the text within a span element, span tag, and then we'll have to add the ID. You'll see the reason behind it later. That is where we'll place the year. For the year, we want it to auto update, and that one will exploit the JavaScript functionalities using the date function or method. Then we'll get the full year for this variable. We'll target the span element, so not that one. Okay, that one. Let us make sure that we have the correct ID. It's important. And then we'll equate the inner text of that element to the variable of year, When you save it, you'll see it. Okay, that's enough for that part. Let's mark it. The next part will be adding the quick links in an unordered list with the custom class of quick links. We'll add some spacing at the top and then add 6 links. Well, this is just a shortcut. I made abbreviation. You can take your time and explore it and learn. The first will be home. About. Shop. You can play around with it with your preferences. And then the last one, contact us. In the styles, we'll remove the list style. And then target the specific links. To remove the decoration and change the color to black. At the end, we'll add the subscription section with adding an input with a button. I'll just take my time to type this. I'll take my time to type the text here. It won't be long, and then you'll add an input. It's not text, it should be email. We'll give it a custom class. And then we'll add a button with also a custom class with a text join. Let's now style. Copy the class name. Paste it. The border will be solid and black. The width, it will span the whole div, and then we'll curve the corners 30 pixels. For the spacing within, we'll put that one for vertical and that one for horizontal, and then we'll create some spacing at the top. Next, we'll target the button with spacing at the top, and then the background color will be black. For visibility, the color will be white, and let's create some spacing within. Vertically, we'll have 5, horizontally 40. The border radius, give it also 30. I think that's it. Let's look at the final product. That's nice. The fixed background, the images. Even if you minimize it, it's still beautiful. No, something is missing. A placeholder. Yeah, and amen. I think we're done. And thank you for watching. Till next time, can subscribe, like, and help me grow this YouTube channel. Bye bye.